Hello.
All right, welcome everybody to Labs Talk, another exciting episode. And I just realized that we actually did it wrong, right? We told you, Sascha, you're not going to be at the beginning here in the show, but now you are actually, right? Because
You're
we messed
right
it up.
on stage. We messed it up.
That's
Nevertheless,
not a problem.
let's still ignore our guest for just a quick minute or so. Let's start the way we plan to start. We wanted to welcome everybody. We wanted to start with a quick recap. So this is the second episode in a series that we're trying to do. And we talk about technology in sports. We had our first episode 2 weeks back already. We had a pretty prominent guest.
Yeah, super exciting, right? With Lars Lammerde, head of sports sponsorship at SAP. And we discussed all things sponsoring basically, right? And why SAP does it, how SAP does it, right? And what's in it for SAP, what's in it for the partners basically.
Yeah, basically, we learned that sport plays an increasingly important role for companies and corporates, that there is a 4-pillar strategy that our employer follows. It's for branding, it's for hospitality, everything revolves around.
And it was also co-innovation, for example, right? And well, the fourth, okay.
It's we had it just over coffee, but nevertheless, this has been the episode 2 weeks ago. You can look that up on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Today is our second episode, and we have a guest that we're particularly proud to have today. We have Professor Sascha Schmidt from WHU.
I can try to say the complete title, actually. Okay, we actually already made fun of it in the pre-chat. Director of the Center for Sports and Management at WHU, Otto Beisheim School of Management. So that's pretty long, and you told us we can also just announce you as a professor for sports and management, right? Which is okay.
Yes.
Welcome, Sascha.
Great.
Welcome.
Hey, welcome.
How are you doing?
Actually quite well, although sitting in a hotel room, not in a nice studio-like room like you. But yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, very cool. And we're super happy that we fixed all technical problems, right? And I think you told us you join us from Berlin right now, I believe,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
So very cool.
Yeah.
So Sascha, can you give us a short intro? I mean, we know that you're a professor for sports and management, like 2 seconds more, basically.
Yeah, tell us what is
2
it that
seconds,
you're doing?
that's almost impossible, but
1 minute.
no, maybe, so I didn't spend my entire life in academia, but also had a career as a strategy consultant and as entrepreneur before I joined academia about 12 years ago.
Very cool, very cool. And so the one thing that we, of course, we always look at our guests holistically, and we know you've written a book, right? So can we maybe talk a little bit about the book, because it's all about tech, the future of sports. What is it about, and how did you know? What's your conclusion actually of writing this book?
Actually, I wrote a couple of books, but usually if professors write books about tech and business, so it is without any public attention, to be quite frank.
But it's mandatory for your lecture, right?
Yes, or because it's,
apologies.
Usually it's super focused on a topic, and so there are not so many people that are so specialized that are interested in it. But the book you are referring to that was different. It's called 21st Century Sports: How Technologies Will Change Sports in the Digital Age. And it was an experiment because I was asking real tech experts from MIT, Cambridge, Harvard, etc., to really give an outlook on how their particular technology has an impact on sports in the future. And that was really something that started because nothing in this direction was there. And then we have been overwhelmed by kind of the attention that book got.
Yeah, I mean, we checked it. I think it has 100K downloads.
Which is a bit contradicting your earlier statement. That
crazy,
seems
right?
Pretty popular,
yeah, exactly.
Right?
So we really have been surprised about it. And it got translated it's in English, but it got translated in Mandarin. And we just launched a Korean version, which I'm not able to read, but at least the cover looks quite cool.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty impressive. I can imagine that a book that is so diverse in that topic itself, that sparks a lot of ideas, right? So there's a lot of inspiration for those people that did actually read it.
Yeah, that was amazing. So we got lots of reactions to it, and there have been even artists that were organizing and hosting an exhibition about the future of design in sports, and they got inspired by the book. So they really, so we had an exhibition during the Paris Olympics, and it was even part of the official cultural program of the Olympics.
Wow. So the next thing we wanted to cover is that you also did an MIT course, I believe, right? So can you tell us a bit about that? What's the content? I think it's roughly about sports and education, but what's the deeper?
Yeah, actually, yes, that also emerged from the book project, because
Okay.
a couple of MIT colleagues have been involved in writing in the book. And so the course is called Transformational Technologies. It's a pure online course, and we use sports to explain tech.
Very cool. Very cool.
How do you actually, like that immediately sparks that question for me, like how do you actually explain tech with sport? Like how would that work?
Yeah, for instance, so this actually a course designed for the non-tech people. So usually if you look at the MIT program, you look at courses, you should be quite proficient in coding, or at least have a good understanding to really follow the content. But here we really did something for beginners, and we gave them a tour d'horizon through all important technologies and explain it through sports. For instance, if you take AI, so everybody's talking about AI, and it's getting pretty complex, and you talk about large language models. But for instance, if you explain AI through scouting, like scouting in sports, so it's very easy. Everybody understands, okay, in football, you need a team, you need 11 players, you need a squad, you need to fill different positions, the players need to also to interact, need to play well as a team. So there are many variables that come together to find the optimal team constellation. And of course, then you also have market constraints and budget constraints. And so AI can really help you to optimize your squad and to find the right talent for your club.
It's very cool. So you really use kind of sports as a way to reach people, basically, right? So as a way to make it more attractive to discuss technology, actually.
Which I think is a concept you will find in various other like management courses. Coaching is a recurring topic. That theme or that idea of a soccer coach is, I've seen that quite a few times in management education. So that immediately resonates for me. But you probably went deeper than just that. And from the conversations we had before, I remember you did classify the approaches, and you dissected this explanation, and you had a very granular answer to that question throughout your book, right?
Yes, and also forced my MIT colleagues really only to use sport examples when they explain their stuff. And then we also collaborated with Borussia Dortmund, and we basically colored the course in black and yellow. So that what does it mean? It means, so we basically explained robotics, and then looked at Borussia Dortmund, and they, for instance, they have a moving wall, which is a robotics application. So when they train set play situations, so the wall is jumping up and down, and so you can basically train how your opponents will move, for instance. And that makes it really tangible.
I'm just wondering, so for the book and also for the course, actually, and for the course, you already said it's not a typical tech audience that you focused on, right? But so for the book, for example, do you see the main use of the book actually for, let's say, corporates and management, or for normal people that want to learn about technologies, or for athletes basically that might want to expand their possibilities or their performance with technology, for example, something like that? What do you say is the best use of this book basically for which audience?
Yeah, it has several audiences. So basically three. So number one are in fact athletes, because the many tech applications affect athletes immediately to optimize their training, injury prevention, and so on. Second target group are sports consumers or fans, because there are also many applications that will kind of improve your experience. And the third group, and this is by far the largest target audience for the book, are business professionals in sport.
Yeah, perfect. And that is actually a perfect liaison, of perfect connection to what we wanted to do next, actually, right? I just realized it. In the book, you speak about a 3x3 matrix, which is kind of on one axis, there's all the different technologies and also ways to kind of
to arrange
basically. And on the y-axis we actually have like the athletes, sports, consumer, fans, and management, for example, which I understand most, to be honest. And I think we want to play a little game, actually, if you can still put the post-its in the right point. I think this will make it very, very visual, actually, what is meant by combining sports and technology. Let me just add that here. Okay.
So maybe a word on that matrix. So when we were kind of designing the book, so we really wanted to reduce complexity, and we thought, okay, how can we put the entire world of tech into a couple of categories? And this is how we came up with the physical technology, information processing technologies, and human interaction technologies. And more or less, you can put every technology that you find somewhere into these buckets. And the other axis is the benefit, because if you look at a technology, someone needs to benefit, because otherwise you don't need any technology.
Yeah, perfect. So now actually I also bring it together again, right? So here we have all the different technologies, more or less, right? And then on the x-axis we have the people, for example,
the user or beneficiary.
And just as an example, right, in the pre-chat we talked about fan tokens, and I believe, and you can explain in detail why it belongs here, but I think it belongs into the consumer area, but then it's about information processing, roughly, right? And fan tokens, that means all kind of digital collectibles, for example, that now you can issue via the blockchain, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's correct, right?
Yes, 1 point. One out of one.
Yoo-hoo!
1 out of 1. Yes,
we're scoring.
Very good.
It's a gamification for the hosts of Labs Talk.
Gamification for our
motivates me even more. Perfect.
But don't mess it up now.
Everybody who leaves a comment will get a point.
Yeah. So I think this really gives everybody a good overview, basically, of how your book is basically also structured, right? And what it means to actually combine tech and people, basically, right? And what are the things that are being discussed, actually. Very cool.
Yeah. And fan tokens, it could also be like platforms for collectibles, but even also forms of participation. For instance, in tennis, there's Fantium. It's a platform where via NFTs you can really participate in future prize money of players. But in general, it was right. Yeah.
Let's maybe go through that. Do you want to talk through the axis we have? I put another sticky there. We prepared a few, and you try to place them to continue with your game.
Yeah.
I bring it in, and you tell me where I drop it. So we have scouting, talent
identification. Well, it probably belongs to the I think I ping it management, I think, right? And it probably is
there.
Information processing, I think.
Is it?
Then you would move it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like here?
Exactly. There.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So
yes, of course. So if you put yourself into the shoes of a manager, like in football, so talent identification is key. So you you always need to find undervalued assets that you buy for a lower price, and you sell your overvalued assets. That's about there. Yeah.
Which, just to sidetrack a little bit, which is actually something that we did plan, which is most likely not happening right now, but we did have lined up an episode that did cover exactly that type of thing. There is a startup that does scouting through esports as a service for corporate, to my understanding. So we'll mention them in a separate post somewhere else, but just to mention that's existing, that there is startups in the market today that do this type of thing.
Yes, so there are some large language models that get kind of adopted, and so the clubs, they usually have their own so-called compartments, so they have their little ChatGPT within their own infrastructure, because the data that they have, especially the historical data, this is really this is pure gold, and you won't share that in a public large language model.
Yeah.
So let's do one more.
Yeah, let's do this. I think that's an easier one. I already see it. So variables and sensors. So it must be physical technology, of course, and athletes.
So it's the top row. That's for athletes.
And physical top row, right? And then I mean, this will be athletes, right? So that's it. So if I translate that, basically it kind of means, how can you as an athlete use technology, basically, right?
And just going back, we both have a history in IoT. This is applied IoT to just
I also have a sensor on my
everything. Yeah.
Same.
So.
You have the smartwatch, and also, but even up to a training robot. And this is a good example, because of course these are not discrete categories, because they are blending over. Because in a smartwatch you also have somehow AI.
Yes.
You also have somehow a screen. So that's a kind of also merging over. But as a first kind of sorting system and a navigation system, it helps you if you think about, okay, which technology category I'm talking about, and who is the user or beneficiary, because that helps you to align what you're talking about. Yeah.
And how, just out of interest, how many discrete technologies do you in the end cover actually and explain through sports? Do you still remember or roughly know?
In that course?
Yeah, or in the book actually, in this case, yeah.
It's not so many. I would say like 10, 15 overall.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But it's rather deep dives on it. And something like that. So we tried, of course, to take the most icon ones.
Yeah, cool.
Does it make sense to go through those tech categories a little bit in depth? You said there's 15, 18 type of technologies. When I look at the notes that we took for pre-chat, now that we played this little game, should we dedicate a few minutes to go through those 3 columns, 3 rows that we hear for technology, to go into that physical technology? We took a note here that robotics is an area that has attention. Soccer, maybe makes sense to go into robotics or physical technology, and maybe spend another minute or two with info processing and human interaction more. How does that sound?
No, that's fine. Yes.
Cool. Then let's start with physical technology. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. And maybe give you also a flavor of the book, so how it works. So, of course, if you have robotics, and there's a difference if you have autonomous robots or if you have like human steered robots. And so we used also in the course, my colleague uses the RoboCup example. RoboCup, that's actually the World Cup of robots playing football against each other. It started 1997 already, and they started with a big vision. The vision was, by the year 2050, the autonomous
5-0, that is. It's not 1-5, but 5-0. So it's not a past goal; it's a future goal.
Yeah, 2050 exactly. So they almost 30 years ago, they started and said in 2050,
Mhm.
the robot World Cup winner will beat the human World Cup winner.
Mhm.
And that was a kind of, this is how they started, and it's a worldwide community, mainly in research and science, and it's amazing how they improved over time.
Mhm.
Although even today, and actually the Germans are not bad in that, better than in the last couple of competitions in real life. And but if you see it today, it's still, you need a lot of fantasy to imagine that they can beat a human team.
It is a pretty difficult problem after all. Like, just thinking about soccer from a fan's perspective, it's a pretty large field. There is a lot of people on the field.
It's very complex.
There is communication involved. There is physical interaction with the ball. There's physical interaction with other players. There is, on top of everything, there is strategy, how teams play together, how teams
Yes.
try to score. Sounds like an AI application
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah. And there's coincidence. There's lots of coincidence in football, and that makes it hard to predict.
Yeah.
Even you don't know how the ball is really kind of reacting. And yeah, so it's a very exciting and complex problem. And but if you use that soccer example, it also reduces boundaries and barriers. So people like to think about that and what's complex about it, and what they already solved, what is still an issue. And so you realize, all of a sudden you can discuss tech by discussing football.
We like to frame this a little bit forward looking all the time. We talked about that 2050 goal. Now that soccer and football is such a complex issue, where do we stand today? And from your perspective, you're the expert on this. How realistic is that goal with where we are today, 2025? There's 25 more years to go. Will it happen or not?
Yeah.
That's a good that's a good question. I would look at for maybe the next 10 years. So actually, I'm not the tech expert to be honest. But if I talk to my colleagues at MIT, they say in about 10 years' time, you will have training robots that are able to mimic style of players. So that means, for instance, if you have a tennis robot, and so then you can tell the robot how it should play. If you want to play against Serena Williams or Roger Federer or Nadal or whomever, and they are able to mimic the style of it.
I could imagine if you kind of let a human and a robot play in the same game, though, that could be a slight advantage for the robot at some point, because it doesn't show any signs of weakness, and it probably hurts if you hit such a robot. I'm sure. So, I mean, it sparks a bit something that's a bit easier. I'm not sure who told it to me. Probably it was you in our pre-chat, but apparently there's also robots running already, right? With humans in the same races, actually, right? So, and that's happening today, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's happening today, which I found quite interesting. Yeah.
No, actually, there are championships in many sports disciplines. So where we have robots against each other, or you have also mixed teams. You have even like an Indy car series in the US. It's called RoboCar, and these are race cars that have no cockpit anymore, and they're steered by AI. So there's no human involved, but they have a kind of high speed of 300 kilometers per hour. So it's really
let's maybe take that as an opportunity to move on for the just for our timing. I have high doubt we can touch everything, but let's at least discuss the big topics in your research, and with these events that you just mentioned, with no human intervention anymore. The other column that we had before was human interaction, just to allow me that transition. That's another column in this 3x3 matrix. We did not put any examples here other than what we discussed before. no, we didn't. Even in that game, we didn't have anything. So maybe let's spend a minute or two and have a quick conversation of what that means.
So human interaction technologies are all around AR, also augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality applications, and up until kind of metaverse. So for if we stay in the athlete arena, so AR is and VR is already used for decision making or improved decision making. Yeah, it's all about like so-called executive functions in a game, that you are quicker in your head. And so you I don't know if you talked about Helix with Lars Lamade last time.
I don't think so. No.
I don't think so.
Because Helix, it's a 360-degree cinema, like a little studio that they have at TSG Hoffenheim. And there you can you have gamified executive function trainings for players.
Okay. Okay, so that's basically happening with a AR headset on, basically, or
like... Yeah. So in the Helix arena, you don't need a headset. Yeah. Because it's a kind of 30-60 degrees screen.
Okay. Yeah.
But usually you have like the glasses, the goggles that you have, and this especially for players who are injured, so that they spend more time on kind of training the executive functions. But it's also of course for match day preparation, match analysis, and so on. So what went wrong? Then you can go back in that situation on the pitch. And the player can kind of realize, okay, why didn't I pass to the right, and so I passed to the left?
Got it.
Why that, and how can I improve?
Yeah, wow. So that probably also allows the player, for example, to analyze the other team, for example, right? And to maybe identify issues or weak spots in the other team, so they know the other team basically knows how to best perform in the end. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whew. Crazy stuff, really. Yeah, I never thought about actually the usage of AR and VR and kind of metaverse concepts in this way.
But it does make sense immediately, right?
Or in a 360-degree cinema, basically. Wow.
Let's go to the last one. I think that's another big chunk of talking points, but just to very quickly go over it, we had information processing. I think that's another thing that at least we should spend another minute or two outside that game we played.
No, absolutely. Okay. Should I?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So it's all around data in that category. And of course, AI is now front, back, and center. But what's interesting here, if we look forward, is the development of digital twins. So we know it from other areas, from real estate, from manufacturing, where you can basically simulate the maintenance needs of a building over time. And so the first kind of early digital twins have been composed. So there was like a Nike project on Serena Williams. The Stanford University is doing research and analyzing Roger Federer's games. And I think this will be the next big breakthrough, because that allows you, in terms of injury prevention, to really simulate training and also a kind of match endurance, but also enables you to model all kinds of situation scenarios that you might expect in a game.
But that's just the athlete perspective to information processing, like taking the fan perspective to that. There is always, like, I'm just trying to reflect what I understood. There is always that fan perspective. I watch a football game and I see increasing, the game itself is increasingly augmented with numbers, like this player scored so and so many goals, but he shot at the goal so often, he's been running so many meters in the past 30 minutes, and there is increasing number of metrics coming in. Is that the other side of the same information processing space?
Yes, absolutely. So all the data that you generate on the athlete can also be part of the user experience, and this in a very individualized manner. So let's assume, Andreas, that you are interested in predictive goals. Then you might get this statistic. If Sven is not interested in that, but more interested in the individual performance data of the athlete, so then he might get this. So it's all this notion around hyper personalization. That based on your kind of user profile and your user behavior, that you get the experience that is 100% tailored to you. And this is all at the end backed by algorithms.
Okay, that's impressive.
It's really quite interesting, right? How more or less the same data collected has multiple outlets, right? The management perspective, like the person running the team, then also the consumer fan, basically, but then also the athlete. So that's what I take from that, basically. Quite interesting, really, to think about it this way.
Yeah.
Very cool. Should we kind of watch the time a little bit and come to our final
wrap
part?
it up? Yeah, I'll leave the future part to you, Sven.
The future part is me. Okay. Well, I just wanted to ask stupid questions about the future, basically, right? But when we think about all these technologies and sports and the intersection with sports, what do you think? Where are we heading, basically, right? What do you think we might see next? Maybe what's something that totally fascinates you in that area?
Yeah, I think that so our main focus has been sports over the last decade. But what we realize is that there are other emotional assets that have or that struggle with the same issues. If you have like a sports asset, or if you have music, if you have film, if you have fashion or gaming, it's at the end of the day, these are all emotional assets that are hard to monetize. And so what they basically share is that they all want the attention of people in your online community, on social media, and so on. So it's a big competition for attention. And this, so what I think we should really broaden the perspective, and in sports not look at the club as a big competitor, the other club, but more as a kind of so also what can I learn from other parts of the entertainment super sector?
Okay, wow. So I mean, does this also mean that we're basically at some point will involve the consumers and all the let's say the people who consume all the sports and the technology and the data in the end, basically, that we're gonna involve them to actually, for example, to some degree also steer the sports and the game that's happening, basically. So like turn it into an interactive mode, basically, or
yes. So I think we see early signs of that. So if you look at new formats like in football, like this Baller League, Icon League, and so on, Kings League, of course, they already adjust the traditional rules of football and give participation opportunities for the fans. You see similar things in tennis with the format of Ultimate Tennis Showdown. You have Tomorrow Golf League and so on, and even up to Formula E, where you have a fan boost. So the fans are kind of deciding which driver gets it, and this could be decisive. So this boost gives you more kilowatt energy, and that could be decisive for the race, because that enables you to overtake another car.
Impressive. I guess we can conclude it's going to be exciting. There's a lot to come our way.
I will press the boost button, and the robot that's racing with me actually will have advantage or disadvantage. Okay, not sure who I'm gonna boost in this case. Actually, let's see. Very cool.
If you really look ahead, it could even be nanobots one day that give kind of the impulse. So what you know from video games today would you have then with real athletes.
I'm thinking of like electrocuting the guy you don't like. Like let's maybe
All right,
just
yeah,
stop that here.
that's-
Let me suggest, Sascha, we covered a fraction of your book.
Yeah.
Let me suggest we will put a link to your book in the comments later for our audience to look it up. I think we
Thank you.
scratched the surface only, but we really, really thank you for giving us this insight. It's
Yeah, thanks
super
so much.
exciting. Thank you for sharing with us.
Perfect. And I would say thanks everybody for watching. I think that was another exciting episode. Thank you so much, Sascha. And
Thank you,
goodbye.
guys. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you,
perfect.
Sascha. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Ciao.
See you.